Hi, I'm Melinda Van Fleet, and welcome to the Confident Conversations podcast. I'm a confidence and peak performance coach, best-selling author, and speaker who helps businesswomen develop confidence to believe in themselves, take action, and get results. This podcast shares authentic and transparent, thought-provoking stories, tips, and tools from my experiences, as well as incredible guests, so you can continue to build your confidence and live your best life. Thank you for joining me. Let's get started on this confidence journey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Confident Conversations podcast, and thank you in advance for joining me. I wanted to share some things that have happened to me in the past that my husband and I were talking about last week because he had experienced something similar. And it's one of those things that when it happens to you, it's not a great feeling and can often really put you in a bad place where you just don't feel good. You might even be pissed off. It might make you feel sad, unappreciated, undervalued. But I do think it's something that probably happens to every single one of us at some point in our lives, if not more than once. Definitely, it's happened to me more than once. And my husband was remembering some situations where it has happened to him before. And what it is when you are in a situation with some other people and someone doesn't acknowledge you. And it can be so blatantly obvious that that's where it stings. And sometimes you wonder why. Did I do something wrong? Did you just not like my hair? Is there some reason why you are blatantly ignoring me? And I am standing right here. But you're making a conscious effort to speak to the other person and completely ignore me and not even say hello. Now, granted, there are situations where someone would say, that person's really busy or they weren't thinking. And that could happen too. I do know as a sales rep that sometimes I would be visiting a customer and let's say I kind of was in a hurry and I buzzed in and maybe didn't say hello to all the sales associates in the store. And sometimes I hindsighted myself that, oh my gosh, did I forget to say hi to someone? Or I felt bad if I forgot their name. Things like that would happen. But the situations that I have in my memory are ones where, no, it was blatantly obvious. So one that I was recounting with my husband is when I was a merchant for Victoria's Secret. Our CEO at the time, so this is a very long time ago, she would never say hi to people. Never. It was just so obvious. And I often had to travel with her. I was in all the meetings. I was a merchant. It wasn't a very big team, believe it or not. For a multi-million-dollar business, the team wasn't that big at the time. And so I was in the Monday night meetings. I traveled on the jet. I did all the things and was blatantly ignored. I had to really basically pull up my big girl panties and just get over it. I mean, honestly, that is really how I dealt with it. Just get over it, right? And then when I would receive something through interoffice mail, where it was like a report that I had turned in or a trend report, we always had to travel and do trend reports back in the day, which were super fun. And I loved doing them. And the trend reports always circulated up to her desk, which was great. And often they would then circulate then back to my desk, all through interoffice mail. And she would write on there, "Great job." And then she would sign her name. I swear, I think I have them in my file cabinet from way back when. This was when I was in my 20s. And I saved them. I think I still have them because it was such a big deal to me at that point in my life where you went from 1 second, being ignored to then all of a sudden getting, praise on a report that you turned in. So it was just kind of like this little bit of roller coaster, and you had to appreciate everything that positively happened for you in order to get past the times where you were completely ignored. So that was one instance in my career that I totally remember. And I remember, really just finding that inner strength to push through, because quite frankly, there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't do a damn thing about it. I couldn't go up to her. She was the CEO and go, oh, hey, you're ignoring little me, peon. I actually don't think I was a peon, but, I was in my 20s. So definitely not as experienced as she was, and not as much on her plate as she had on her plate. So I did get over all of that, and I did push through it. And I found light at the end of the tunnel in appreciating the reports where she did say great job and sign her name. But something that happened to me 2 years ago, and I do remember this really clearly, it was July of 2019. It was when I was a sales rep, and I was a sales rep for a large multi-vendor rep company that is nationwide. And the owner, who is kind of a silent partner, I guess you could say, but I had been with this sales company for, it was 8 years total. So I guess almost 8 years at the time, 7 years, something like that. And I had built my territory from basically nothing. I mean, when I started as a sales rep and I received the reports and they were like, oh, it's a great area. And I received the reports. I'm like, oh my God, no, it's not. None of these people have been paying their bills. Nothing ever shipped. Oh, it was like a nightmare. So I really built it from the ground up, in my opinion. And the sales company, which was a really good company, took commission from what we earned. Basically, they're a middle person. They didn't have any products. They really just take commission from the sales reps. It's just how it works. And when you sign up to work for a multi-vendor rep company, you go in with the acknowledgement that this is how it is, right? So I knew that it wasn't the most ideal situation because it's a middle person taking part of the commission. So let's say a vendor pays 15% commission, then the multi-vendor sales rep company takes about half of that on average. So really, you're kind of paying for back office stuff. And, just depends on your level and what you need. I guess you could say your feelings might be around what they end up taking from you. So that's a whole other topic. But in this case, what happened 2 years ago in July of 2019, I was in the showroom with one of my very good customers who I'd known for a very long time. They have a store in Key West, and it's two gentlemen, and they are super awesome. I truly, truly adore them. And we were chatting, and the silent partner of the multi-vendor rep company came up to say hello because he knew them as well. And we were standing, if you can imagine, me standing, the silent owner of the multi-vendor rep company is directly in front of me, like maybe a foot away. And the two gentlemen who own the store in Key West, they were on either side of me. So we're, standing like four people would stand. So the silent partner owner, again, directly standing in front of me. I've made his company a lot of money over the course of, let's say, 7 years. Never once acknowledged me, said hello, looked me in the eye, nothing. And we stood and chatted with my customer for easily 30 minutes, and it was probably longer. And a bulk of the discussion was about the fact that he wanted to move to Isla Mirada, which is very close to where I live. I live literally 5 minutes from Isla Mirada, whereas they live in Key West, which is 2 hours away. I even tried to interject and say, oh, I live right by Isla Mirada, and he still blatantly ignored me. And at one point, one of the owners of the store actually stopped and said, hey, do you know Melinda? And he was like, oh, yeah. And he still went on and ignored me and never looked me in the eye. So there comes a point in time where you have to realize, okay, where are you in your level? Where are you in the conversation? And what's the culture like of where you work? Because this is directly related to culture. And yes, the culture at Victoria's Secret was very, very, very tough. And that is actually why I ended up leaving, was because of culture, because it was such a work, no work-life balance culture. Like I could go on and on and on about that. So I gave that CEO grace in regards to understanding how busy she was, what was going on, the dynamics of the culture. But still, at the end of the day, did receive praise here and there for my efforts. This culture, from being a sales rep, completely different. And completely, when I look back at that situation and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this person who I've made a lot of money for in my territory as an individual, stood in front of me for at least 30 minutes, it was probably even longer, talking, never once looked me in the eye, never once said hello, never once included me in the conversation, nothing. And I'm not in my 20s anymore, people. I'm not. I definitely deserve the respect. Couldn't do that. And that says a lot about culture. So I'm recording this podcast because I want people to, number one, know that if things like this have happened to you in your life, it goes in that bucket of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger and makes you aware. It makes you realize what you don't want to be like, right? We learn from bad examples. We learn from bad things happening to us. So I look at those examples and I'm like, gosh, I wasn't raised like that. I was raised with my father telling me, you treat everyone as equal. You treat the janitor as equal, the security guard as equal, everyone. He worked in a steel mill. My dad managed very large steel mills, and he treated everyone as equals. He treated the security guard as an equal. He didn't play that game of like, oh, I'm the owner, so I can't even look you in the eye. So I want people to know that if this happens to you, you are not alone. But rise above it. Rise above it. And don't treat other people the same. And if you are someone out there that's listening that goes, oh my gosh, I've been doing that. I've been doing that to teammates. I've been doing that to people that, work for me. I've been doing that to even servers in restaurants. Oh my gosh, how poorly treated they are at times. I've heard it at other tables I go out. We live in a tourist area. We go out to eat. And we can't even believe sometimes the conversations that we overhear. Take a look, take a breath, and think about making a change. Because at the end of the day, we are all equal. We are all humans. If you look at it on a spiritual level, your souls that have been in many, many, many different bodies over the course of time, if you even believe in time, like we go on many levels here. But whatever you believe in, here we are on this earth as humans. Let's all be kind to each other. Let's all respect each other. Let's all say hello. Let's all give a smile. If you know someone's name, hey, say their name. How difficult it is to say hello to somebody and say their name. It's really not. And if you don't know their name, hey, I'm really sorry, I forgot your name. Can you remind me what your name is? No one ever gets pissed off about that, I swear. No one ever gets pissed off about that. Take a minute to think about that too. So I'm sorry if this podcast is heavy today, but I needed to get it off my chest because the story that my husband came back and told me about last week just brought back all these memories. And he had some stories too because he's been through it as well. And like I said, I'm sure we all have at some place in time. So if you think about it, it probably didn't feel good. So make the change if you need to make the change, or help someone else out there that you may see that happen to. that maybe need some encouragement for the day to get through it, and know that there's a bigger picture out there, and we're all deserving of being greeted and saying hello. So thank you for listening again to the podcast. If you feel like you could help someone else out there by sharing this podcast, I always appreciate that. Imagine if we all helped one person today, what this world would be like. And in the meantime, I hope it helped build your confidence. Please feel free to connect with me on the socials. My email is melinda@melindavanfleet.com, and feel free to contact me for private coaching or business consulting. I would love to help you. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks. Bye.